Alright, so now we have multiplication. You can FOIL this out if you want to. How many people want to see FOIL? Alright, I'll do FOIL, then I'll do the square. So first off, if you FOIL, we're going to multiply the first terms together. 4 times 2 is 8. X times x is x squared. And then we have to do the outer terms. There's an outer, there's an outer. So 4x times 3, that's plus 12x. The inner terms times the inner terms. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10x. Then the last terms, that's a last term and that's a last term. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. You're always going to have to add the stuff in the middle. So that's 8x squared plus 2x minus 15. Now, if you work and you want to use this, and you're going to use the square, since that has 2 terms, I make 2 rows, and that'll be 4x minus 5. Since this has 2 terms, I'll make 2 columns, 2x plus 3, and then you just multiply the row times the column. So 4x times 2x, 8x squared. 4x times 3, that's plus 12x. Negative 5 times 2x, negative 10x. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Now, the like terms are going to be on the diagonal. So you get 8x squared plus 2x minus 15, which is the same thing that we got there. For number 18, you could do this in multiple ways. I'll do this, make this a little bit bigger, and make it 2 by 3. (5x minus 1), 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. That's 15x cubed. 15, or 5 times 3x times x squared. 5 times 4 is 20. X times x is x squared. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10x. Negative 1 times negative 3x, or, well, the answer is negative 3x squared. Negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. And then again, we have our diagonals here. So this would be 15x cubed plus 17x squared minus 14x plus 2. What's I cubed equal to?
Negative I.
That's I times I times I.
Still negative I.
That would be negative 1 times I, which is negative I.
That was right.
Alright, now we're getting into some complex numbers. And when we're adding or subtracting, we can only add the real part. That's the real part, and that's the complex part. That's the real part, and that's the complex part. Because we can only add the i's together. It falls under the same rule of you can only add like terms. So you can only add reals to reals and complex to complex. So if I'm adding 9 plus a negative 4, so this would be 9 plus a negative 4 plus negative 4i minus 7i. 9 plus negative 4, that's 5. Negative 4 minus 7, minus 11i. For 21, we're subtracting. So this is going to be negative 3 plus 2i minus 8 plus 5i. So I have negative 3 minus 8, negative 11. 2i plus 5i. Basically, it's 2 plus 5, which is 7, and then we throw an I on there, and we're good to go. Now, when you're multiplying, just beware of I squared. Remember that I squared is equal to negative 1. So for multiplying here, what's negative 6 times negative 3?
18.
Negative 18. 6 times 4, that's plus 24i. Negative 2 times negative 3, that's 6i. And negative 2 times negative 4,
No, it's positive 4.
it is positive 4. Negative 2 times positive 4 is negative 8. I times I squared, but that's a negative 1. So this is actually equal to negative 8 times negative 1, which is equal to 8. So we can add the diagonals again. Negative 18 minus or plus 8 is, so this is equal to negative 10. 6 plus 24, that's plus 30i. This one, if you work the FOIL method, first terms, negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. And then I always do the middle terms. That's the next one. It's negative 12i. Do the outer terms. That's positive 10i. And then the last terms, that's positive 6i squared. Now, I'll get negative 20 here. Add these up. Negative 2i. Well, what's I squared? Negative 1. So negative 1 times 6 is a negative 6. So this ends up being negative 26 minus 2i. So you just have to be really careful when you're multiplying i's that you get that I to the, when you get I squared, it's a negative 1.
Were you just recording?
I am recording.
Are we supposed to answer questions?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That felt
not
so
yelling.
All right, 24 is really negative 3 plus 4i times negative 3 plus 4i. Or if you remember a plus b quantity squared, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Either way, it's going to work out the same. I'll FOIL again. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. The inner terms, negative 12i. The outer terms, another negative 12i. That's where that negative 2ab, or that positive 2ab comes from. And then the last two terms, these last guys right here, 4 times 4 is 16, so it's plus 16. Then we have I times I, which is I squared. So I'm going to get 9. That's minus 24i. And then I have 16 times I squared. I squared is equal to what? Negative 1. So that's going to be a negative 16. So this is equal to negative 7 minus 24i. I'll keep that there. Now this one we just have, what you want to do is you want to multiply these two first, and then multiply it by the second one. So I'm going to use the box for this guy, just so I show different methods. 2 plus 3i, negative 1 minus 2i. That's a negative 2. That's negative 3i. That's negative 4i. And that's negative 6i squared. Well, that I squared is a negative number, so what's it going to do to the negative 6? Makes it a positive 6. And the I goes away. I add up my reals. 6 minus 2 is 4. Add up my complex parts. That's minus 5i. So now I have to take that 4 minus 5i and multiply it by 5 plus 4i. And now I'll FOIL this. I. Okay. Come on in. 4 times 5, that's 20. Then minus 25i plus 16i. Remember, I don't do FOIL, I do FIOL. I do inners and outers. You could do outers then inners. Doesn't matter. Then the last ones are going to be negative 20i squared. Yes. Not when you're multiplying. Oh. Oh yeah, in the middle. That should be negative 7i. Yep. Sure. All right, so we ignore that. Since you're supposed to be using a pencil, you should be using a pencil. Then we redo this. 4 times 5, 20. Inner terms, negative 7 times 5 is negative 35i. Outer terms, that's still plus 16i. The last terms are negative 28i squared. So you have 20. The middle terms, that's going to be negative 19i. Last term, I squared is negative 1, so we make this negative positive, so it's plus 28. Then one last step, add the two numbers, minus 19i. All right, so now is some more review of the Algebra 1 stuff, solving a system of equations. Do I have opposite coefficients? Yes. So since I have a negative y, a positive y, I could just add these guys. X plus 3x is 4x. 3 plus 1 is 4. Negative y plus y is 0. So divide by 4, you get x is equal to 1. Now I'm going to take that, put it in the top one. 1 minus y is equal to 3. Subtract a 1. Negative y is equal to 2. Divide by negative 1. Y is equal to negative 2. So my answer is 1, negative 2. Yeah, later I'll give it to you. There was one mistake in it. It should have been 7i.
Yeah, it should be 47 minus 9.
All right, now, in this one, do we have opposite coefficients?
No.
No. But I can multiply the top here by a 2, and this becomes 4x plus 2y is equal to 5. And then 3x minus 2y, oh yeah, that's 10, is equal to 4. And now I have opposite coefficients of my y's. So 4x plus 3x, 7x, that's a 0. 10 plus 4 is 14, divided by 7. X is equal to 2. Now I'm going to take the top one again, because I have to figure out my y value. 2 times 2 plus y is equal to 5. So 4 plus y is equal to 5. Well, 4 plus what equals 5? 1. Y is 1. So therefore, the solution is 2 comma 1.
Wait, why did you multiply the thing by 2?
Because here I saw that I had negative and a positive as far as y's go. And so I had a negative 2, so I needed a positive 2 in the top.
If the bottom was negative 3, you'd multiply the top by negative and by 2?
Yeah, I would have. Now this one,
I did 4, the upper one, times 4.
we're going to have to multiply the top and the bottom in order to, because we don't have opposite coefficients and we don't have opposite signs. So what I'm going to do,
I did 4 for the top, negative 3 for the bottom.
4 in the top and negative 3 in the bottom. Okay. And that is going after the y's. The easiest way to go is to take the coefficient of the top and multiply the bottom by that. Take the coefficient of the bottom, multiply the top by that. And if you have to make one negative, just choose one to make negative and go. Yes?
Does it matter if you choose x or y?
No, it doesn't. If you go after x first, you'd multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 2, and then choose which one to be negative. So it wouldn't matter. So by doing this, that would be 8x plus 12y is equal to 20. Now I have negative 15x minus 12y is equal to negative 48. So that's a negative 7x. That's 0. That's negative 28. If you're a football fan, how many touchdowns do you need to score 28 points? 4. So in this case, x is equal to 4. Or you could divide by 4 and be done with it. So I got a 4. I'm going to go to one of the original ones because they have smaller coefficients. I'll take the 2x plus 3y equals 5 and say, all right, well, 2 times 4 plus 3 times y is equal to 5. So 8 plus 3y is equal to 5. Subtract 8. 3y is equal to negative 3. Well, what times 3 makes it equal to negative 3? We got negative 1. So the solution, therefore, is 4, negative 1. And that takes care of the second half, and that takes care of our lovely video. And let me find the video thing so I can turn it off.